Let me tell you a story from the running history books. It is April 2003 and a runner by the name of Paula Radcliffe in bib number 101 is storming towards the finish line of the London Marathon.
Paula Radcliffe storming home to win the 2003 London Marathon.
Her resulting world record time, 2 hours, 15 minutes and 25 seconds, would stand for many years after. But just how fast was Paula running that day? What does 2:15 marathon pace actually feel like? I wanted to find out. So, approaching the 20th anniversary of the record, in April 2023, I linked up with a modern-day elite runner and decided to try Paula Radcliffe's world record marathon pace for myself. I'm Harry Morgan, and this is Jog On. First, we'd need a track.
So where better to come than the home of Paula Radcliffe, Bedford International Athletic Stadium. To run a marathon at 2:15.25 pace, you've got to run laps in 77 seconds. That is quick. So I decided I'd need some help.
That help would come in the form of an elite runner who rose up through the Bedford ranks, just as Paula did.
They came to see something special from the girl from Bedford.
Becca Murray is no stranger to lightning-fast distance running.
A little chat between Murray and Small. I wonder whether they've decided to step up the pace.
As someone who's been competing for the majority of her life, her talents even as a junior were clear. When, in 2015, she became the English national cross-country champion and was recently selected to represent Great Britain on the track at 10,000 metres. Speaking with Becca, she told me,
"I've got some unfinished business with track."
Being the calibre of runner that she is,
Nice, Becca!
Becca would make the perfect pacemaker for this attempt at Paula's world record speed.
Becca, when I said to you that it was 77-second laps, you actually said to me, that's actually quite quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I quite considered how fast that record was until you said. It's actually not far off of 5k PB pace for me, so it's not going to be easy.
Hopefully we can try and hold some 77-second laps, and I'll try not to die, but I'll just tuck in behind you and hopefully we can get it done.
Sounds like a plan.
Discussing the project in a little more detail with Becca, we went for a light jog and in some drills to loosen up. I demonstrated my lack of flexibility and Becca began a bigger warm-up while I changed my shoes over. The jog-on socks out in the morning sunlight slid smoothly into the pair of shoes I'd be using to hit that all-important Paula pace. Lacing them up, Becca was still going. For all I knew, she'd probably already run a marathon.
I'm really hoping that I can keep up with Becca. She's on her 5th lap of her warm-up right now, so I better get going as well.
Setting off, I tried to channel my inner Radcliffe and Murray. I wasn't sure that it was working. 400 laps later, Becca felt that she was finally warm enough and changed into her race shoes, which were appropriately orange. Becca and I had agreed that for comparison, at the end of this, we'd also have a go at Eliud Kipchoge's marathon world record pace, which would turn out to be completely crazy. But more on that later. With my jog-on top currently in the wash, we began our strides. Well, for me they were strides. Becca probably thought that we were still jogging. But for how long could I maintain this pace? For reference, at the time of recording, my 10k personal best is 37:05. Paula was running a drastically faster 32:04 pace, and she was doing that more than 4 times in a row.
To do a marathon on a track, you have to run 105.5 laps. 77-second laps is equal to a 16:02 5k.
I had some goals in my head. If I could complete at least 2 laps, I'd be happy. Or even better, stretch that to a kilometre, 2.5 laps. However, my big target was thus.
I feel like it would be absolutely fantastic if I could just try and hold 3 laps.
But 3 laps was going to be very tough.
Up the back straight and on that far bend, it is quite a strong headwind. I'm going to try and tuck in behind Becca. That might be difficult. So we're about to begin and we just did a test 200 metres that felt really quick. If it's terrible, we might jack this whole project in, but...
It was time to try.
Okay, in position, tuck behind Becca. Help. 3, 2, 1.
Unsure what I was getting myself into, we set off in the blustery conditions and Becca quickly dragged us up to target pace.
77-second laps. Tuck it in on Becca.
We gave a quick thumbs up as we hit our first 200 metres.
On point there. 38 seconds for the 200.
Hugging the inside line of the bend, I focused on tracking the black shadow of Becca's metronomic strides, and soon enough we were in the home straight, heading towards completing our first lap. Hitting 77 seconds on the dot with Becca's impeccable pace, it was far from comfortable. But this was Paula's pace from 20 years before, and I was determined to experience it for longer. Really motoring, I tried to maintain smoothness in my stride, but was acutely aware that Becca wasn't really breathing very hard. Hitting the home straight once more, this would mark 800 metres run at 2:15 marathon pace. A glance at the watch and yet again we had registered a 77 on the nose. But now the pace was taking its toll and I gulped air trying to stay on it. Rounding the bend, I was beginning to peel off the back of Becca, my legs feeling heavier and heavier from the effort. Realising a gap was forming, I knew that I needed to get back on Becca's shoulder if I was to say I'd successfully completed 1.2 kilometres at this pace. Driving forwards and trying to ignore the fatigue now burning through me, we came up to the line and it was done. After regaining my breath, Becca helped me to my feet, looking like she'd been for a Sunday stroll in the park.
I was absolutely gunning it. I was slightly worried because the second lap was hard and I was like, oh my god.
But if 2:15.25 felt that fast, how on earth would the men's current world record pace of 2:01.09 feel? We were about to find out. Deciding that we'd try 200 metres at this pace, we set off again. For reference, running this speed for a 5k would give you a time of 14:21. With a final kick, we drove to the line and clocked 34 seconds, the required time for 2:01 marathon pace.
Even more ridiculously, that was Eliud Kipchoge's world record marathon pace of 2 hours, 1 minute and 9 seconds. We just did it for 200 metres. I'm Harry Morgan here at Bedford International Athletic Stadium with Becca Murray, and this is Jog On. I brought in someone very fast. You're like, not that fast.
I want to have another stab at a marathon in the next couple of years.
Go for Paula's record in the marathon, maybe. 2:15.25, here we come.